Hello and welcome to Link Ahead, the City of Dublin podcast. Lindsay, I can't believe I'm saying this, but welcome everybody to the last episode of 2024. How in the world did this happen?
How did that happen? It seemed like it was just January and we were kicking off season 3. You believe that?
Yes, you're right.
Well, we have some serious kudos to pass along to our loyal listeners. I can't believe this, but not only did we increase our listenership, our downloads this year by thousands compared to 2023, we nearly doubled
That's
them.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Link Ahead also brought back some serious hardware from a national competition, which we will talk about a bit later. But first, let's get to this final episode because it's a special one.
We have pulled highlights from, wait a second, who am I kidding? Our producer, Scott Light, has pulled highlights from every episode and every guest. And when we do that, it's pretty amazing to hear the full picture of this year. Guests have included world-renowned musicians, Jack Nicklaus II, and a tribal Indian chief.
You heard from city leaders and their vision for things like the Metro Center and Sports Ohio. Largely, though, Link Ahead provides you an extended conversation on our class-leading services from parks maintenance to transportation to prepping for winter weather. And today, we have a guest who our residents may not know him by name. But we can say this, parents of school-age kids love him. Same said, school-age kids, maybe not so much. Jay Anderson is our public service director, and among his many responsibilities, he's in charge of our curb-to-curb snow removal.
That's right.
Thus keeping kids in school and parents happy. So Jay, welcome to Link Ahead.
Thank you.
It's January in Central Ohio, so cue the snow, freezing rain, sleet, anything that falls from the sky, that gray sky that we've come to love and know. What have you learned over the years that you apply to a season of winter weather across Dublin?
You know what? What you expect, you will not get. What you do not expect, you will get. So as much as we try and as hard as we prepare each season, you just never know what you're going to get going into the season. So we're prepared and ready to go with whatever Mother Nature brings us.
And you never know, right? You know, Central Ohio is pretty famous for its animals thanks to the world-famous Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, but we have our own animal expert who could hold her own and then some on Bear Grylls Adventure or TV's Deadliest Catch.
She's our nature coordinator and star of Dublin's Backyard with Barbara Ray. It's Barbara Ray. Welcome to Link Ahead.
Thank you for having me.
I can't believe we've gone 2 full seasons without having Barbara Ray on the podcast.
I
Bruce.
am a little surprised we have not had her on here as well.
So your visit is really timely, Barbara, because the city has a new ordinance prohibiting feeding wild animals, and January and February are breeding months for wild animals in Dublin, so there's a lot to discuss here. First, let's talk about that new ordinance. It's actually an amendment to existing city code. Tell us about it and how it impacts residents.
Correct. So we already have had a ordinance for not feeding wildlife in all of our city property and parks, and also a citywide waterfowl ordinance. And that's how we went from having 70 goose nests in the city every year about 20 years ago to now we have about 3 to 6 annually that show up on city property.
Oh, wow.
And that's
so these work.
And a lot of people may not know that feeding wild animals can have severe detrimental effects, not just on the animals, but on our neighborhoods and the city as a whole. What are some of those effects?
So some of the problems when you're attracting a larger number than what would normally be maybe passing through a neighborhood is certainly damage to landscaping. So deer do not particularly like plants that are prickly or fuzzy or have thorns or maybe a bitter taste. However, they will eat anything if they really want
They're really
to.
hungry. I've been there.
So sometimes we can design our landscaping where we put our most valuable plants closer to the home and have some of the not as tasty plants a little further out, but that's not going to stop them if they really want that particular plant. So if we don't have the higher numbers coming through the neighborhood, it's easier for even a homeowner to haze a deer, chase them out of the yard. Now, in a lot of these neighborhoods, the deer just will stand and look at you while you're trying to spook them.
I will go out to my garden and there'll be like, oh, it's your turn? And I'm like, oh, I planted this. This is mine.
Right. That's right.
Bruce, you've been here more than 23 years now. You know how our Dublin residents think pretty darn well. What would you say people love about Dublin?
Let's talk about streets, their safety, their services. Talk about facilities that you have, the rec center, all the parks that we have, down in Bridge Park, Riverside Crossing. There's so much innovation and things that people love about Dublin, and I love sitting here and we talk about a lot of that stuff all the time.
So how do we pay for all of those things?
I'm glad you asked, because I know the answer to this. Income tax.
Income tax. Good answer. That's right. Our 2% income tax on Dublin businesses and the people who work here. So I know some people might dread tax time, but when you think about all of the great things that come out of those tax dollars, it's really kind of exciting when you think about it.
And the star of tax season is here. Dublin Director of Taxation, Tammy Leonard, is here with us today. Tammy, welcome to Link Ahead.
Thank you for having me.
Tammy, we're really happy to have you here because it's a really important topic. It can be a confusing topic. And honestly, it's a relatable topic because most of us have to file our taxes every year. So we're all in the same boat, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And that's actually a great place to start. So tell us who all has to file taxes in the city of Dublin.
It's a great question and one we get a lot. So everybody that lives here in the city of Dublin that's over the age of 18 must file with the city of Dublin. Also, if you do business here, if you sell real estate here, all the profits from those sales are required to be reported to Dublin.
And you're bringing us some great news today, because here in Dublin, we've made it easier than ever to file your taxes. We've launched a new and improved e-filing system this year. A couple questions about that. How is this system better?
Well, first and foremost, we've made it easier to actually get into the system while still maintaining a high level of security. Most of our calls last year revolved around not being able to add your spouse. We are happy to announce you can now add your spouse to your account. And if you don't have an account, you can create your own account. Again, no need to call our office. Overall, it's just a more user-friendly layout, and I think residents and non-residents will find it much easier to use.
Let's get to today's guests, two talented, dedicated, and all-around awesome guys who are ready to drop all kinds of knowledge in this episode. Let's get some introductions.
All right, so we got Matt Guthrie and Tim Fleischer. They're both assistant horticulturists with our great city, and they keep Dublin looking beautiful all year round, along with our team of other horticulturists and so many others. Matt and Tim, thanks for joining us on Link Ahead.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, awesome. We're excited too. Fun fact right up front here. You two actually have your own podcast. So wait a minute. Are we competitors?
Oh, wow.
We are competitors.
Different category.
Oh,
okay.
Well, I think there's enough to go around. People have enough time.
I think so.
So ours comes out every other week. How about you guys?
Ours comes out weekly.
Wow.
So we're one up on that. So,
well,
okay.
But we're not near as professional as this one.
That's part of the allure, I'm sure. And you both started working for the city of Dublin before I did. In fact, if LinkedIn is correct, you both started the same year in 2013. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right, so both of you are experts in this stuff, and we know Dublin residents put lawn pressure on their neighbors, and they have great yards, gardens, fantastic landscaping that makes our neighborhoods just shine. So let's help our residents with some serious knowledge from you two. Okay.
What are the tools you can't live without?
I would say, for me personally, there's two, and I think you're probably in the same boat, Tim, and that would be a good set of pruners and then a good sharp hand pruning saw. So those would be like my two must-have tools.
I would add perennial knife to that list for planting. Just when you're planting smaller pots, having a good sharp perennial knife to dig into the soil.
Or trowel, or a trowel.
Just as long as it's sturdy.
So what's your advice on shopping for garden tools? I mean, everyone has a budget. So how can people find both value and quality in tools?
If we're talking about pruners, I would go with one that has parts that you can buy. So the blade, if it gets dull or chipped, you can buy a new blade and fix it. So we're talking like $45 to $65 price range for those, but they last forever. So the ones that I got when I started here in 2013, I still use the same exact pair of pruners. I've gotten a new blade a couple times. I might have gotten a new locking nut because I lost it, but it's the same pair, and it was probably $60.
So we helped you there by beautifying your home. Pretty soon there will be more offerings to connect your home with our fiber to every home efforts. That's another great aspect of Link Ahead.
We invite local partners to join and talk about other city services like fiber, plus transportation with Coda, new recyclables with Swaco, and ways you can give to our friends at the Dublin Food Pantry.
And our guest today is the relatively new executive director of the Dublin Food Pantry, Julie Irwin-Rinaldi. Julie, welcome to Link Ahead.
Thank you for inviting me.
We'll get into specifics in a minute, but first, can you talk broadly about the overall community impact that the food pantry has?
Sure. So local food pantries are really in place to be a safety net for residents who are in crisis, who are going through some kind of crisis. And so that's what we're here for. So there's lots of different local food pantries that do this in different communities, and the Dublin Food Pantry is just as like the Worthington, Hilliard, all the different food pantries. We're here to really be there when somebody needs a little hand up when they're struggling. And so I was very surprised when I started this position 3 months ago that we served 10,000 unique individuals last year that were in the Dublin footprint of our agency. Tremendous.
Wow. That's incredible. And some people might think that people overuse a food pantry, but it's actually opposite, right?
Right. That is so true, Lindsay. We have seen that the average number of times that our residents actually access our food pantry is about 5 times a year when they really are in some kind of crisis and they really need it. They could come 24 times a year, but they're just coming when they need it, and nobody comes to a food pantry unless they need to.
Okay, Lindsay, with your background back in the day as a TV news producer, I feel like we need to cue the breaking news music. Do-do-do-do-do-do. That's because we are breaking some news. It's a news flash from our guest today.
Right. And I have to say, I haven't been in a newsroom for about 10 years.
Okay.
So,
Right.
But I still love me some breaking news. It's happening, Bruce. This is really exciting. Here to tell us all about it is Programs Manager at Swaco, Andrew Booker. Andrew, welcome to Link Ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, so what we're here to talk about today, let's get right to it. Swaco and Rumpke are expanding the recycling program here in Central Ohio to include clear plastic clamshell containers. Cue the applause, cue the applause. So people have really been asking us about this for a number of years. These are those strawberries, blueberries, things in the plastic containers, and people have been asking, can I recycle that? Can I recycle that? The answer has been no for a number of years, but you're here to tell us what today?
For the first time in Central Ohio, you can now recycle clamshell containers. It is big news. Let's give credit where credit is due. It's really Rumpke that is responsible for this. They've expanded their list, which means anybody in Franklin County, any community in Franklin County, in their curbside program, if they use a Swaco drop-off, anywhere residential recycling is accepted, you can recycle clamshell containers.
Well, it's time for a very exciting update as our great city has officially connected some of the residents with next generation fiber technology in our Fiber to Every Home initiative.
Now, you've likely seen construction crews at various spots in town as our partner in all this, Alta Fiber, began construction in April of this year. A few weeks ago, we had our first fiber splice event, so we're off and running.
Yeah, we've officially kicked this off. We had Doug McCullough on here, I think, last year, 2023, when we announced this partnership.
Right.
And to see it coming to fruition is really exciting. And so today, our guest was also a featured guest at that Fiber Splice event, and rightfully so. Senior Director, Corporate Strategy and Development for Alta Fiber, David Kramer. Welcome to Link Ahead.
Thank you. Working up here in the city of Dublin has been exciting. So while today we are building a 10 gig network for the city of Dublin, Alta Fiber has 25 gig network in our labs testing it. They're working on 50 gig networks, so we will, as a commitment to Dublin, we've made a commitment to basically continue to upgrade our networks as we need to for consumers as the demand increases. Well, so the network's going to be there forever, and it's going to be very powerful.
And I'm glad to hear you say that, because then, people have lived through iterations of things attaching to their house. We had coax, now we have fiber. So like I'm a simple person. Like, how do I know this is the thing that's going to take us to the next level?
Your grandkids, if they live in Dublin, nobody will ever be extending a new technology like fiber to their house.
And today we have two guests to talk about these impacts for Dublin and all of Central Ohio. Monica Tellez-Fowler is president and CEO of CODA, the Central Ohio Transit Authority. J.M. Rayburn, a repeat guest, friend of Link Ahead, is a transportation and mobility planner for the city of Dublin. J.M. and Monica, welcome to Link Ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to share with Dublin listeners the exciting work that's being done here and all across CODA service area to improve CODA and access all the things that truly make our communities exceptional. LinkUs is a comprehensive transportation plan to address tremendous growth. And thanks to our partners, the City of Columbus, Morpsey, and communities like Dublin, we have a well-rounded plan that has something for everyone.
We have part of that planning team right here in JM. So JM, this has got to be like, yes, this is boom, this is happening.
You took the words out of my mouth, Bruce. It's a very exciting opportunity, not only for Dublin, but the entire region at large. It's an opportunity to elevate our transit and transportation network, and there's a lot in it for Dublin as well.
When you think of Dublin, what color comes to mind?
Are you even asking this question? It has to be green for all kinds of reasons. Yes, green is our color, but Dublin is green. We've said it many times here, and you see it all around. And we are continuing to strive to be one of the most green, sustainable cities in the world.
And to do that, it takes leadership, effort, great buy-in from our citizens, and importantly, partnerships. And boy, do we have a great one with the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio, also known as SWACO. And today, Hannah Greer-Brown, SWACO's Director of Communications, is here with us. So welcome to Link Ahead, Hannah.
Thanks so much for having me, Lindsay and Bruce. I'm excited to be here and talk about all the ways we can recycle right here in Dublin.
Oh, wonderful. So let's begin with a little history and your mission. SWACO is actually one of 52 solid waste districts created by the Ohio General Assembly in 1989. The mission then and now was to reduce reliance on landfills, right?
That's right. And we are really passionate about helping residents and businesses reduce their reliance on the landfill, which we also happen to own. And that's one of the things that makes us really unique. SWACO is the only solid waste authority in the state of Ohio to own and operate a municipal solid waste landfill.
Our city made some news this year, too, with major announcements like the revitalization of Metro Center and land acquisition that includes Sports Ohio. Announcements like these can take months and even years as they take something else, leadership.
We are so fortunate to have steady, dynamic, and visionary leadership on City Council and from City Manager Megan O'Callahan. In fact, many of those leaders came together for our State of the City address in March.
This is Dublin, Ohio, where we strive to be the most sustainable, resilient, and connected global city of choice. Many know us for our world-class events. Some say we're a little unusual. To be here is to know you are part of an exceptional community.
As we roll into 2024 and partner with you to envision our future, we are as committed as ever to have the most innovative, safe, and connected transportation. From connecting our bike paths regionally, to providing our local rideshare service, to exploring the potential of rail, we are moving forward.
Look alive, 'cause while I was waiting for you, paradise is on the other side of the road. We don't know, taking a long way. You and I were born to roll.
We have exceptional green spaces, green spirit, and green initiatives in Dublin. In 2023, Dublin hosted our first Sustainable Saturday, and we received an Ohio EPA Gold Level E3C Award for our environmental stewardship.
We are an exceptionally engaged and diverse community where everybody is valued and celebrated. In fact, we earned for the second consecutive year a perfect score on the Human Rights Campaign Index. We are proud to share that our Abbey Theater once again has been named the favorite local theater. And it's been recognized for its innovative and creative programming by winning 8 Broadway World Columbus Awards. Come and see a show.
We are an exceptionally safe and caring community. Together, city employees and residents serve each other through volunteerism, outreach, and action. We're connected in so many ways and a leader in state-of-the-art innovation and forward thinking.
Over 4,300 businesses call Dublin home, and with our exceptional amenities and opportunities, we help those businesses grow. As we continue to build upon our economic development successes, we remain committed stewards of the city's assets and resources, and have been recognized nationally for our financial stewardship and transparency.
What truly makes us an extraordinary community is you. As a community, we honor our history and we have a well-planned, collaborative vision for our future. Welcome to the State of Our City, presented by Dublin Residents.
We have a bit of a full circle moment with our topic today, Lindsay.
That's right, Bruce. We're talking about Envision Dublin, the City of Dublin Community Plan update. And our loyal listeners might remember we kind of kicked off the public engagement process for Envision Dublin with our first ever live on the road episode way back in April of 2023.
I mean, that was a packed house. I remember that very well. One of our favorite episodes. And it's hard to believe that was 16 months ago.
Well, our guest today, I think, probably believes that. None other than Community Planning and Development Director Jenny Rausch. Jenny, welcome back to Link Ahead.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
And Jenny, many people in the city have, and the community and our region have helped work on this community plan, but you really were at the center of it all. Tell us what it feels like to be done.
Yes, exciting. I know I need to take a minute and think about it. It doesn't feel done. No, it was a really great experience. We had, great team effort. I've talked about that a lot. I mean, it wasn't me. It was all of us coming together and doing that, from council, city manager, to all of our staff members and all the divisions and our great consultant team. So yes, excited.
All right, this plan guides our vision and execution for just about everything over the next decade, from growth and greenways, transportation and trails, to mobility and metro center. This plan really affects each and every one of us, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we could talk about that part just for hours. I mean, there are so many touch points that every division, every part of the city really is impacted by this. And we really tried to capture that through this plan update.
What were the big overarching goals for this update?
Yeah, as you mentioned, this was almost 10 years ago that we did this last. So a lot has changed, obviously. In the last 10 years, Dublin's really on the forefront of development and growth and really setting that vision. And this community plan really wanted to take a look at what have we done? What are we looking towards next? So how do we bring all those pieces together? We've done a lot of studies and plans within the last 2 years with economic development, sustainability, Parks and Rec master plan, all those pieces. So how do we tie all that together? So this effort was really looking at how do we bring all those pieces together in a meaningful way and update the information, because we use this every day.
And welcome to Link Ahead. Some of you may not have realized that you are going to be part of our second ever on the road edition of our city podcast today. I'm Lindsay Weisenauer.
And I am Bruce Edwards. Today we're entering into a new era of live podcasts. We have our in-person community conversation today about the future of Metro Center, our legacy office park.
That's where we are today, here in Metro Center. Certainly has great bones, but it's time for a refresh. And today we are going to hear from this panel of experts.
Metro Center was developed in the 1970s, as many of you know, and Martin mentioned the amount of surface parking surrounding those large corporate office buildings, with some hotels, but really limited amenities, which those uses are not really what people want to see today. And how do we position ourselves and look for those opportunities to include different variety of amenities, mix of uses, and really thinking forward to how we can do that.
From my perspective, these options line with the success we've had at Quantum Health. Modern amenities and thoughtful workspace will drive business growth. I believe this space will help attract top talent and provide opportunities we currently don't have.
I have to say that we're still early on in the process. We don't know exactly what it will look like, but that's all part of listening, as we've been doing, to the community. Also conducting a really thorough analysis of the buildings, the landscape, parking, the access points. So we're really going to be looking at how we can make better connections. Also, we'll be looking at the great system of trails that is so characteristic of Dublin.
Hello and welcome to Link Ahead, the City of Dublin podcast. And we are starting off with a very specific number for a very specific reason, Bruce, and that is 243.
As in 243 acres of land that will enable Dublin to continue to transform into the most dynamic, diverse, and sustainable city of choice in the country. This acquisition, these 243 acres, and the surrounding area will combine sports, transportation, infrastructure, and economic development that perfectly dovetails into Dublin's overall master plan.
People are really excited about this, Bruce, and I'm really excited about this episode. We have the woman leading the charge is none other than our city manager, Megan O'Callaghan. Plus, we welcome Samantha Shepard from Sports Ohio. Welcome to you both, and thanks for joining Link Ahead.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Thank you for having me back.
Megan, to you first. Give our listeners the scoop on this purchase. This involves land in both Franklin and Madison counties, right?
It does. This acquisition, it includes land in our West Innovation District and also to the west of our existing city boundaries. And as a result of that, we do end up with parcels in both Franklin County and Madison counties. And the parcels all encompass the areas that are known as Sports Ohio, Shepherd Excavating, and the Carter Farms.
Samantha, your family is at the center of this exciting real estate deal. Now, you've owned and operated Shepherd Excavating for 40 years and Sports Ohio for 30 years. I mean, it must be exciting to be at the beginning of this transformation.
It really is very neat. When my father started Shepherd Excavating and then the sports park in the mid-90s, there wasn't anything else out in that area besides farm field and a couple of homes and other businesses. So to be a part of Dublin's history and growth over the past 30 years into the new millennia and now into the 2020s, it's very exciting to see the economic boom in the area, and just especially from my point of view, the boom in the golf industry and more people taking up the sport. So I'm very excited to be a part of what's to come and the city's future.
Mayor Chris Amorose Grooms, welcome to Link Ahead.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're so excited to have you. This is your second term as mayor, as you were recently reelected by your peers on council to another 2-year term in this role. What are your major goals this time around?
Well, council has several working initiatives that are working their way through the process right now. First of all, would be the Fiber to the Home initiative, which I think our residents will grow to appreciate more and more as it comes online and they get to benefit from what is actually happening. The next would likely be implementing the Envision Dublin and our update to our community plan, and certainly an update to the Parks and Rec master plan. I think that's what citizens will feel the most in the community. And then I would say Metro Center update. That's going to be a big one for council, certainly to help drive our revenues into the future. And then certainly transportation initiatives that would come online.
Now, you often talk about Dublin being having a sense of place, that we sweat the details of a growth, infrastructure, residential input. How will this idea guide your second term?
This guides everything that Dublin is. Regardless of who's in the seat, regardless of what is going on, this is who we are at our foundation. The city of Dublin is profoundly committed to the look, the feel, and the function of the public space.
City Council member Amy Cram, welcome to Link Ahead.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, you have served in our city before council on boards and commissions. You are an attorney and a professional architectural historian with a business here in Dublin, and we'll get more into that later. But let's begin with your upbringing in Dublin. Talk about growing up here.
So I'm third generation Dubliner. My great-grandparents purchased acreage along Riverside Drive in the early 1900s. And then my grandmother married and built a house on that acreage in the 50s. And then my mother married and built another house on the property in the early 70s. So I have been there since the early 70s. And I can tell you, Dublin looks very different today than it did. You know, I guess most of my memories would be from the early 80s. And there wasn't much here in the 80s. We actually had to travel to Upper Arlington or downtown Columbus to go to the grocery store and to do shopping for back to school. It was very different.
All right. So you talked about how different it is. In your opinion, how has Dublin managed to grow in the right way?
Former leaders had the foresight to establish different land use policies and plans for the future. All these preserved trees and the green space and all of our parks, and that's all attributed to them.
We have City Council member Andy Keeler. Welcome to Link Ahead.
Happy to be here.
Let's start topical because we're just coming off the state of the city address. Broadly, how would you describe the state of our city?
I'd say competitive and world class. We're in the catbird seat. We'll seize our fair share of economic development opportunities in the region. I think if you were a corporate, let's say CEO or one of their real estate folks searching the country for a place to call home, both on paper and a short visit to Dublin will tell any company looking to move here that Dublin should be the default community of choice. And we've gotten kind of a bad rap here, a reputation for being very difficult. Our residents appreciate that because they've grown accustomed to a fantastic built environment. But when you're looking to build a building here, time is money, and you want the process to run smoothly. So we're using an administrative review team to evaluate these plans and sort of give check the box type scenario for these developments so that they don't get bogged down in red tape.
I think that's one thing about this podcast that I love so much. We as hosts and our listeners really get to meet our guests up close and personal. The TV news is full of 20-second sound bites. Our episodes are at least 20 minutes of real conversation.
And speaking of interesting people, we always try to mix in a few episodes with people with deep connections to our great city that you might not know, like the chief of a Wyandotte Indian tribe and OSU women's basketball coach who's long called Dublin home.
And a big episode today with our first ever guest host, our producer, Scott Light, the magician, the doctor himself, a Dublin resident and podcast extraordinaire. Scott Light is joining me behind the mic today. Scott, thanks for being here.
I feel bad, Lindsay, because this is one episode where Bruce Lindsay so wanted to be.
I know.
He's heartbroken.
He is. He's
Seriously.
Truly heartbroken. We're going to have to bring our guest back for another episode.
No
problem.
And that's a hint because Bruce so loves sports.
He does.
He really gets into this. So to our listeners, that is a hint about our guest. Here's another hint. This is someone you've seen around town. You've also seen him getting his sweat on at the Dublin Community Recreation Center.
That really narrows it down.
It does. It does.
And that's one of the beauties of our great city. You never know who's strolling through Bridge Park or on the treadmill right beside you. Scott, you were instrumental in getting this guest for us today. You do the honors.
All right. Today's guest is the reigning Big Ten Women's Basketball Coach of the Year, was on the late season watch list for Naismith Coach of the Year. He led the Buckeyes to a 26-6 record while clinching the program's league-leading 16th regular season championship. And wouldn't you guess it? He's a Dublin resident. Head coach Kevin McGuff. Welcome to Link Ahead.
Yeah, great to be here. I appreciate you guys having me on this afternoon.
We've been dying to ask you this. You've got access to all that high-tech equipment over at OSU, and you choose to work out, sweat it out, which we love, at the Dublin Rec Center. So what do you love about our rec center?
I like it in there. I like, interacting with people and just being around people. And sometimes it fits the schedule better. Like, for example, this morning, we didn't work out with the team until 11. And so I woke up, and instead of like going in there and then, working out at school and then I take a shower there, I just went down to the rec center, worked out, came back, took a shower. It's done.
Yeah, it's convenient.
That's awesome.
And I have to ask,
That's
do a
awesome.
lot of people come up and talk to you while you're on the treadmill?
This year I had a lot of people. It's good though. Like I tell people all the time, it's better they recognize it means we're doing something good. Because if you're not winning, no one's gonna care and no one's gonna recognize you. So I'll take that.
Today, Lindsay, we have a first. Joining us today is Chief Billy Friend, Chief of the Wyandotte Nation and also a friend to our great city. Chief Friend, it is an honor to welcome you to Link Ahead.
Thank you. Very honored to be here today.
November is National Native American Heritage Month, and we're celebrating, there's celebrations, there's commemorations all over the country. Now, Native American Heritage Day is Friday, November 29th, and always the day after Thanksgiving. So we will light our Dublin Link Bridge in honor of that day. What does that day and that month mean to you?
It's really a great time of remembrance and pride for us. It's a time that we honor, we set aside time to honor our ancestors, to remember our history, and really to reaffirm our commitment to preserving our culture and our traditions and our values going forward for future generations.
The Wyandotte Nation has a special relationship to Ohio, and we'll certainly get to that in a bit. But let's talk about your trips to our great city here in Dublin, Ohio. You've brought interns here to see the public art monument to Leatherlips. How did you and your interns like it here?
We love coming to Dublin. We love coming to the park there. Just such a beautiful park on the side of the river there. The monument there, the Leatherlips. Of course, it's a great photo moment. The kids can all get their picture taken there. And but we just appreciate the hospitality that's always been showed when we come there. People from the mayor to the city council, from people from the city of Dublin come out and just make us feel very welcome there. But it's Leather Lips is one of our chiefs, one of our former chiefs, and has quite a story that goes along with that. So it's really an educational moment for our interns as well, that we can kind of tell them the story of Leather Lips and share a little bit of that time in history and what was taking place at that time.
Now, we are not going to say we saved the best for last, but Dublin wouldn't be Dublin without our signature events. There are too many to name here, but we featured everything from a naturalization ceremony to the Abbey Theater lineup to having Jack Nicklaus II join us and really provide great scoop on the history of the Memorial Tournament.
As they say, we also crossed the pond for our Dublin Irish Festival episode with a world-famous banjo player who joined from where else but Ireland.
Our guest today has been here 10 times and is one of the most technically gifted, passionate teachers and acclaimed banjoists out there anywhere worldwide. Enda Scahill, welcome to Link Ahead.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you. You absolutely nailed the pronunciation of my name.
Oh, thank you. I was practicing before this, so thanks for your help there. As we said, you're a great teacher, so that's very helpful. And we are a couple of weeks away from this year's festival, so you're joining us via Zoom today. Where are you right now?
I'm in Galway City, west coast of Ireland.
Oh, I love it. I went to Ireland last year and I didn't make it to Galway, so I can't wait to go back sometime and visit.
You might as well have not have come to Ireland.
I'll be back.
That's like I went to New York, but I didn't bother going to Manhattan.
Fair enough.
That's an absolutely fair statement. So how often are you at home versus the road, given your travel and your touring teaching schedule?
Yeah, now I'm at home all the time, which is a wonderful change of pace.
Nice.
So we Banjo 3 toured for almost 15 years. And when we did tour at our busiest, we were away for about 5 months a year. Spread out over the whole year, and but now with my new career as a teacher, I'm in this room making banjo videos. It's a change of pace for sure. My wife and son are delighted that I'm around. At least I think they are. They tell me that I am.
Well, we're glad that we're getting you to come back to Dublin. Let's walk chronologically through your time in our great city. This is our 37th year. And as you know, we just love putting on the largest 3-day Irish festival in the whole world. When did you first come here?
So I first played Dublin in 2003.
Wow.
With a band called the Brock Maguire Band. We did it 1 year in 2003. And then with We Banjo 3, our very first American show was in 2012, and we played Milwaukee Irish Fest. And then we came back in 2013, and we did Dublin for the first time, and we're blown away. And then we did it every year that we could between 2013 and 2022, bar the 2 years of COVID when we couldn't travel. Well, we just loved it. It became a second home to us. The Irish festivals are so special.
And it's time for the Memorial Tournament presented by Workday. And we couldn't be more excited and just a little nervous to welcome our guest.
Little nervous.
How's this for a resume intro? He's a husband, father of 5, grandfather of 2, a member of the prestigious American Society of Golf Architects, a best-selling author, philanthropic pioneer. He's also chair of both the Muirfield Village Golf Club and the Memorial Tournament. And his name is synonymous with the legendary golf excellence, Jack Nicklaus II. Welcome to Link Ahead.
Well, thanks for having me on, Lindsay and Bruce. Gosh, that was quite a list of accolades. So I appreciate that. Somebody else obviously prepared that.
No. Well, we're just so happy to have you. And I know, Bruce, you love all of our guests, but when we have athletes and people related to sports, you always get really excited.
I sit up a little straighter in my seat.
Well, it's hard to know where to begin here, so why don't we just jump in with the calendar and what's coming up in a matter of days, the 2024 Memorial Golf Tournament. Every year, the Memorial team raises an already high bar. You and the entire team look to grow the experience for golfers and visitors each year. What can we look forward to this year?
Well, this year will be a little bit different as we are an elevated event on the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour has been restructuring over the last year and a half. And we're going to have a field which is much smaller than typical for where we were last year. We're going to have basically the top 70 to 75 players in the world coming to Muirfield Village Golf Club.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time. I mean, this really put Dublin on the map.
Yeah.
Until Jack's vision from Muirfield in the late 60s and early 70s, Dublin had, and I think, fact check me on this, one stoplight, 2 police officers, 2 firefighters, 700 residents, and less than $3,000 in the bank.
That is crazy.
I don't know if that could be right, but could you talk about how Dublin has really grown up with the Memorial Tournament, and that both are recognized as world class now?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think we've grown up together. I think there's over 50,000 residents in Dublin right now. Back in the day, in the 60s and 70s, I think there was one very small high school. So,
Yep.
Muirfield Village and Muirfield Village Golf Club and Dublin have really grown up together.
Hello and welcome to Link Ahead, the City of Dublin podcast. And we have a big one today, Bruce, for a couple of reasons. We have 2 fantastic guests with us, and this is our 50th episode of Link Ahead. Did you have any idea?
That this is 50.
50 episodes, and we wouldn't know this without our producer, Scott Light, who keeps track of all these things, and he tells us that's kind of rare.
Holy smokes.
Many podcasts don't make it through 5 episodes, and we're up to 50.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
Does that mean we're syndicated now, Scott?
I guess.
No, but I do want to give a shout out to Lindsay, because this was your brainchild. And I remember you talked about it in staff meetings, and then you asked me to do it. And I was like, yes. And it was a new lease on life. So thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you for
having
being
this
a
idea.
fantastic co-host. It's been a lot of fun, and we've had a lot of great guests, and we can't think of anything better to celebrate our 50th episode than a naturalization ceremony right here in Dublin, where nearly 150 people became U.S. citizens. This is truly goosebump stuff, Bruce.
That is pretty cool. And we're honored to have a gentleman here who helped lead the ceremony earlier this month, the Honorable Federal Judge Ed Sargas of the Southern District of Ohio, who also served as Chief Judge from 15 to 19. Your Honor, it is an honor to welcome you to Link Ahead.
Well, thank you. I live in Dublin, so this is a great pleasure for me as well.
We're so happy to have you here, and we are also honored to welcome a woman who's a naturalized U.S. citizen. Vita Lambelat calls Dublin home, and her career is based here as well. She's a senior director stylist at Penzone Grand Salon, my salon, by the way, of course. Vita, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Judge, our listeners have probably seen a quick 30 seconds of a naturalization ceremony on the news or social media before, but why don't you give us a little bit more detail? What is a ceremony like? How does it unfold?
They're always exciting because people like Vita are about to finish a very long process of citizenship that can range anywhere from 2 to 10 years or even more. So it's a family day. And the day we did in Dublin, we had many of the city officials. We had the mayor, the city manager, council members, the chief of police. We had a color guard. We had the mayor as the guest speaker. So it made an exciting day even more exciting.
And just to be clear, Judge Sargas, you didn't preside over Vita's ceremony, but the two of you have known each other for years.
We've been debating for the last few years which judge it was.
Well, it was a while ago. Vita, when did you become a naturalized citizen?
So I became United States citizen August 8, 2006. It kind of took like 10 years for me to go through the process. I moved to this country in December 1996.
Wow. So what was it like that day after you put in that 10 years of hard work? What was it like the day of the ceremony?
Actually, I told Ed, that's the moment I walked inside, it was special. It was very emotional. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I was so welcome to the country. For me, it was oh, I can actually breathe again and live life now.
Oh.
It was really, really emotional for me.
Congratulations. And we have a rare treat for our Link Ahead listeners today with a repeat guest. In fact, before this, we've only ever had one other repeat guest, and today we're bringing in our second.
Now, that's right. Now, let's be clear. It's not that we don't want repeat guests. Of course we do. It's simply because we have so much going on in Dublin, and there's always someone new to talk to. But this guest wowed us and our listeners, and the first time he was on, and there's just so much going on in his world right now for Dubliners to enjoy. So we had to bring him back. Joe Bishara, theater supervisor for the city. Welcome back to Link Ahead.
Oh, wow. Thank you both so much for having me come back again.
Well, Welcome back. And we know you feel very honored, I'm sure, to be back on Link Ahead as only our second repeat
You didn't see
guest.
the paparazzi when he pulled up?
But you are no stranger to the spotlight. You and the Abbey Theater are absolutely on a roll right now. Last year, we won 8 Broadway World Columbus Awards. The Abbey was named Best Local Theater for the 2nd year in a row, and you were named Best Director for a 3rd year in a row. Is that right?
Yes. It's an honor to have accolades coming the Abbey's way. It's really, really exciting to see how the theater community at large is interacting with what we're doing, and also how Dublin is embracing this direction that the Abbey has been going on for the past 4.5 years.
Just wow. Congratulations. So for those who are unfamiliar with the Broadway Columbus Awards, tell us a little bit about those.
Sure. So the process with the Broadway World Columbus Awards is that they accept nominations from the community for whatever you want to nominate for. So you can nominate for the best production, you can nominate for best new production. They sometimes change the categories from year to year, and Favorite Local Theater has actually only been around for 2 years. So ever since it's been in existence, the Abbey has been the recipient of it. So there's the nomination process, and then there's the voting process. And then when the dust settles, we've been on the nice side of things for the past few years, that's for sure. Yeah.
Right. And the Abbey also won the prestigious Central Ohio Theater Critics Circle Award, which is only given to one organization a year. Talk about that accomplishment.
Yeah. So that was really, really a humbling experience. This is a award that's only been given out literally 25 times in the past 25 years.
Wow. And even though we've already announced this year's July 4th headliner, we still wanted to bring you back and go through a lot of things for the big day that's coming up.
Oh, great. I mean, the summer is, people talk about when does the summer start? We were just having this discussion. So is it the tournament here in Dublin? I would argue that, but it could be 4th of July too.
Well, some people think 4th of July is like, summer's half
I know,
over. People start thinking that way. And, if it really only affects you if you're tied to a school system, so they go back to school in early August now. So, but for the rest of us, we'll start the summer here on July 4th.
I always thought table sales, when you announced, it was okay, get your event hat on and get ready because it's time to go.
All right. So this year we revealed our 2024 artist at the State of the City address. But Allison, we still need you to bring it home. No pressure. So let's jump into all things July 4th. Our headliner, Martina McBride, will wow the crowd. We're talking about a singer who sold 23 million albums with 20 top 10 singles and 6 number ones. That's kind of unheard of. I mean, it's hard to get to number one. And hello, one of her biggest hits is Independence Day. So what's been the general reaction? I mean, I know table sales are sold out. But what's the general reaction once people found out that we got this country music sensation?
I think people are super excited. I mean, one of the things I kind of say she's sort of been at the event before because we played Independence Day during the fireworks soundtrack.
Oh yeah, right.
So I actually think we're going to start going to that fireworks soundtrack and picking out the people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's really kind of a fun thing for us. We haven't got really had a female country artist before, and we know how popular it is. She has that fan base. Going back a few years, I do know there is a super fan in Bruce's family. So
there is a super fan who calls me every
Yes.
day and asks me, "Is Allison got tickets for me?" And I was like, "Dad, you can buy a table if you want. They're open to the general public."
You didn't hook your dad up with a table, Bruce?
The fix is
we
in.
gotta
right?
talk
The
about
fix
this.
is in.
So if anything, it proves that there's fans of all age groups, out there ready to hear.
You heard Allison Leroy there. She joins us every spring to talk about July 4th. She was, sorry, Allison, the undisputed download queen of Link Ahead. Our July 4th episodes in 2022 and 23 were our most popular ones. But this year, guess what, Bruce? We have a new champion.
Drum roll, please.
Tip your cap to Enda Scahill and the Dublin Irish Festival episode for leading the pack in 2024. Fun fact, the Swaco Earth Day episode in April was number 2 in popularity.
Well, speaking of leading the pack, give us a minute to talk about some recognition for Link Ahead. We were honored with 3 awards in 2024, including a National Savvy Award at a ceremony in Texas that you, Lindsay, were there to take the hardware for.
You're absolutely right. It was quite an honor, and it was fun getting that back through airport security on my way back to Dublin. So, we won a Savvy Award, so a national award there, a Central Ohio Prism Award, and an award from the Government Social Media Association. So really great year for us.
Not to get off track here, but I feel like you were in Ireland 2 seasons ago, then you went to Texas. What's the common denominator here? Is me staying here in Dublin, right?
Oh, yeah. Where do you want to head this year, Bruce? We can always take Link Ahead on the road.
I heard there's a Hawaiian Link Ahead conference this year.
I like it. Again, we thank you all so much, our loyal listeners, for making this podcast go. We are already planning for 2025 and another great year to come.
And as always, thank you for taking the time to connect with your city. Tune in next time as we continue to explore the many personalities and experiences that make Dublin a thriving place to live, work, and grow.